Why we should learn law. While the universe has its own rules, here is life, especially human beings. Law is very important for human beings to live in safety and prosperity.
Malaysia's Federal Constitution is regarded as the country's supreme law. It was established after the Federation of Malaya's Constitution. The Federation of Malaya's Constitution is the basis for Malaysia's current federal constitution. In order to create a formation of a constitution, Lord William Reid drafted the Reid Commission to prepare a full self-governing and independent Federation of Malaya. This plan was led by Lord William himself. Basic federal constitution consists of 5 characters: rigidity, a written constitution, authority of court, supremacy of constitution, and distribution of power. The distribution of powers is an important feature of federalism. Federalism refers to the distribution of state powers among a number of coordinate bodies and has its own origins. Thus, the Constitution has the authority of controlling them. A federal state were created from the existence of Constitution. As a result, the Constitution subordinates and controls all executive, legislative, and judicial powers, whether they belong to the nation or a single state. The Constitution in a federal state constitute the supreme law of the land. There are 2 institutions regarding the matter, which are the Supreme Constitution and the Written Constitution. These are regarded as the crucial institutions for a federal government. The supremacy of constitution is essential if a government is to be federal. It is a must for a federal constitution to be a written constitution. Complicated contracts are categorized as the foundation of federal state. The terms of the Constitution needs to be reduced into writing in order to maintain the supremacy of the Constitution. A natural of a written constitution is its rigidity. A constitution which is the supreme law of land must also be rigid. The procedure of amendment is very complicated and difficult in a rigid constitution. This isn't to say that the Constitution can't be modified legally. It clearly means that neither the federal government nor the state governments should have exclusive authority to amend the Constitution. A country's constitution is treated as a permanent document. It is the land's ultimate rule. The Constitution's dominance can only be preserved if the process of amendment is strict. In a federal state, the Constitution's legal supremacy is required for the federal system to operate. Under the framework of the Constitution, it is the nature of the federal state to involve a division among the central and the state governments. Maintaining the separation of powers between the 2 levels of government is essential. This must be done by some independent and impartial authority above and beyond the ordinary bodies, whether federal or state legislature existing under the Constitution. In a federal polity, the judiciary has the final power to interpret the Constitution and guard the entrenched provisions of the Constitution.
Malaysia hierarchy of courts consist of 2 main parts, which are superior court and subordinate court, or known as lower court too. The highest level of court in the superior court is the federal court. The next level of court is followed by the Court of Appeal. The lowest level in the superior court has 2 courts, which are High Court of Malaya and High Court of Sabah and Sarawak. However, both courts have the same and coordinate jurisdiction. Generally, High Court of Malaya will hear cases and disputes that occur in the jurisdiction of Peninsular Malaysia, while High Court of Sabah and Sarawak will hear cases and disputes that occur in the jurisdiction of Sabah and Sarawak only. Lastly, for the subordinate court, the first level is the Sessions Court and then followed by the Magistrate Court. Jurisdiction of the Superior Court consists of 3 jurisdictions. Jurisdiction of Federal Court, Jurisdiction of High Court, and Jurisdiction of Court of Appeal. Jurisdiction of the Subordinate Court consists of jurisdiction of Magistrates of Court, and jurisdiction of Session Court. There are 3 stages of hierarchy of the Sharia court. The first stage is Sharia Court of Appeal. The second stage is Sharia High Court. The third stage is Sharia Subordinate Court. Sharia Court of Appeal. There are 6 execution for this kind of court. The first one is order a rehearing or rehearsal. Then, duty to hear appeal cases. After that, reduce punishment. Other than that, has the power to revoke any conviction by the Sarawak court. Besides, received the appeal of the respondent who was sentenced to imprisonment or a fine of not less than Rm 25.00 and has made the appeal in accordance with the prescribed procedure. Lastly, each appeal will be heard by at least 3 appeal panel from the Sarawak appeal panel appointed and commissioned by KDYMM Sultan. The court's decision is final and valid. Sharia High Court. There are 5 execution for this kind of court. The first one is discuss the cases allocated to him. Then, managing appeal cases. After that, provide court journals for publication. Other than that, resolve and confirm Faraid cases. Lastly, issuing orders of civil and criminal cases. Sharia Subordinate Court. There are 4 execution for this kind of court. The first one is discuss the cases provided for by state enactments. Then, hear and decide such cases. Other than that, prepare decision papers and court reports. Lastly, discuss cases at the district level.
The Malaysian Bar is a professional body in Peninsular Malaysia that regulates the practice of law. There is no difference between a barrister and a solicitor in Malaysia. The 2 professions are merged. The bar's membership is both automatic and obligatory. The Legal Profession Act of 1976 established the bar. Like other bar associations around the world, it has a wide range of responsibilities, including protecting the legal profession's reputation, upholding the cause of justice, and expressing its views on legislative issues, among others. The function and purpose of Malaysian Bar. 1. It promotes professional improvements of its members, looks after members' welfare, its image. 2. Provides legal aid to the impecunious. 3. Stands up against abuse of power and encroachment into the life's liberty of the people of this country. 4. The Bar Council makes rulings and gives advice on certain questions relating to matters in practice, the profession and etiquette. 5. To uphold the cause justice without regard to its own interest or that of its members, uninfluenced by fear or favor. 6. All lawyers upon being admitted to practice as advocates solicitors automatically become members of the first appellant. In 2017, Sabah's Advocates Ordinance of 1953 was significantly amended. The first thing to remember about the Sabah Ordinance is that it contains the federal territory of Labuan in all references to Sabah. Apart from that, the amended ordinance includes provisions for international partnerships, accredited foreign law firms, and the registration of foreign lawyers, as well as the creation of the Sabah Law Society as a legislative body, disciplinary proceedings against advocates by the newly formed disciplinary board, and the provision for international partnerships, qualified foreign law firms, and disciplinary proceedings against advocates by the newly established disciplinary board. The role and function of Advocates Ordinance of Sabah 1953. Advocates Ordinance of Sabah 1953 has established the subcommittee, which will advise the public in appropriate cases, initiate or represent parties in matters such as environmental issues, religious freedom, and citizenship issues, among others. It also has the task of governing the admission of individuals as advocates and planning for relevant matters. Advocates Ordinance of Sarawak 1953 was created by the Registrar of Societies, who deemed it fit that it should be named as an association, or else no approval would be given for the creation of this body to represent the advocates on the roll of the Sarawak Bar. Membership of the Advocates Association of Sarawak, AAS, is open to all advocates who have been called to the Bar of the High Court of Borneo, which was renamed to the High Court in Sabah and Sarawak in 1995. The role and function of Advocates Ordinance of Sarawak 1953, firstly, to foster close ties, cooperation, and mutual understanding among Sarawak's lawyers. Secondly, to provide an organizational structure for regional cooperation in the study and research of Sarawak laws with the aim of harmonizing those laws to meet the needs of the state's social and economic growth. Lastly, serving as a one-stop shop for legal assistance and solution.
Okay, that's all from our group members. Thank you to our beloved lecturer, Puan Nur Ashikin. We hope you guys enjoyed this video and thank you for this semester.